My name is Commissioner Frank Avila, and the name of our show today is Being Real at Uptown. And it's with the Uptown Baptist Church Homeless Shelter. And as my guest, I have Pastor Michael Allen. Thank you for being on my show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I have Miss Barbara Huntley-Smith.
Thank you for inviting us.
Glad you're on the show. And I have Mr. Jason Blackwell.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And we're going to talk about the homeless shelter because, you know, in today's economy, I think we're going to have a lot more people going into homeless shelter, and there's so few of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Pastor Michael Allen, how long have you been at Uptown Baptist Church?
Our family has been there now going on 4 years.
4 years?
Mm-hmm.
By you say your family.
Yes.
And then Sherry's going to bring up your family.
Excellent.
There.
My wife Marla, who is originally from Brazil.
Yes.
And of course I'm from Jamaica, and we have 4 children, Rachel, Daniel,
They're on
Philip,
the screen right now?
and Abigail. Absolutely. That's my marvelous family. We're so blessed to have them. So my kids are now Brasmakins or Jamzillions.
Now, where is the church located, and how many people worship there?
The church is located at the corner of Wilson and Sheridan, just a mile northeast of Wrigley Field, along the lakefront on the north side. And we have about 200 worshipers that attend each week in the weekend services.
That's a good-sized group.
Mm-hmm.
That's
mm-hmm.
a good-sized group there.
Yeah.
And what time are your church services?
Church services begin at 10:30 a.m.
10:30?
and normally conclude about 12, depending on how long the preacher preaches.
Yes. Now, do you have a choir?
We have a seasonal choir. From time to time, for special occasions, we'll get a choir up, but we do have a regular worship team or music ministry team that helps to lead the congregation in worship.
And then how about Sunday classes?
Sunday school classes, we call those adult Bible fellowships, and that begins at 9 o'clock, from the 9 to 10 o'clock hour. And we have also children's programs during that time as well. During the service, there's also programs for the children.
You know, I'm finding out that I go out and give talks on the environment, and I find that the Sunday school enrollment has been down. Do you find that at your church?
No, actually, our Sunday school enrollment is up.
Up? Oh.
Yeah, both in the children's department as well as in our youth department as well. We've just had some new youth graduate up into the Sunday school for youth, and our adult Bible fellowships are also actually up and doing well.
Now, Pastor, what kind of social service do the church offer for the community?
There's several. Number one, and probably the one that's been in the longest running program, is what we call our Monday night fellowship meal. And that's where a group of volunteers, including 1 or 2 of our staff, help to provide a hot meal for anywhere from 250 to 350 homeless people. Yeah, either homeless or near homeless or elderly indigent people. And they come as our guests, and we have a brief devotional time for them starting at about 4:30 in the afternoon. And then they're dismissed, the first group, to go down to feed. We can't feed everyone at the same time, and so we actually feed them in shifts. And our guests are just wonderful people who just come for a meal and for the fellowship, to as a place to get in off the street, to relax, to see a friendly face, and they're actually served by our volunteers.
And your volunteers, they do the cooking also?
Yes, they cook.
Oh, it's a big meal, 350 people.
Yeah,
my God, it's a lot of food.
We start cooking, I think, at about 12 noon.
12 noon?
And by 4:30, everything is ready. And it's interesting, Frank. We've got folks that come from Wheaton College, students that come, folks from New Trier High School on the North Shore, folks from Moody Bible Institute will come, folks from the Latin School will come as our volunteers. And then in addition to the people from our own church, that'll come because they want to be involved. They want to give back. They feel themselves fortunate, and they want to be a blessing to other people. And so they come. It takes about 25 people altogether to do that.
You got your holidays must be really packed during your holidays.
Yeah, the holidays usually spike up. Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's will usually go up probably another 100 or 2 compared to the average Monday night meal.
You know, Barbara, please tell us a little bit about your history with the Uptown Church.
Well, during my time in Moody Bible Institute as a student, I had to do a research on a church, and a friend of mine was a member at Uptown, and she told me that there would be, at Uptown, they always take students and teach them. She didn't know what they taught, but I called and I found out that I could get an internship there to do my studies. So that's how I was first introduced to Uptown.
Now did you graduate from Moody Bible?
Yes.
In what was your field?
It was missions.
Missions?
Yeah, but I didn't know anything about missions. And I didn't know what I would do with missions because I had I'd made other decisions for my life, you know, so it came out to be missions.
and was that what you were doing as your type of work, mission work then?
Well, yes, but I had to be homeless to do it.
You had to be homeless to do it?
Yes. No,
You just told me an amazing story.
Well, when and why were you homeless then?
Well, I was homeless in 1996.
1996?
Yes.
Beginning.
And
then from the next 11 years.
For the next 11 years, I was homeless.
Homeless? Now, what shelter did you go to, or you just had to find a place every night, or?
Which one did she not go to? More likely.
Which one?
That she went to many.
I have been in many homeless shelters, but here in Chicago, Uptown was my safe haven, and
the rest shelter.
And the rest shelter at the Baptist, Uptown Baptist, and then I used to be at the Cornerstone for a while.
Now how long did you stay there at the Uptown?
Uptown, initially for 3 months.
3 months?
And then in 2001, I returned from California. I had gone through the 3 major cities in California, and I came back.
You mean all in homeless shelters?
No, I was in one homeless shelter in each city.
In each city?
Yes, and learned a lot, did a lot of work. And when I came back to Uptown, and I was there for a year.
Now, why did you become homeless?
I think it was the will of God for my life at the time. Yes, yes. And now I understand it better, that I had to give up all I crave, and I had to go out and learn what the Lord had brought me into this world to do, how to do it.
I see. So by having this experience,
yes,
brought you back maybe to help other people.
There you are, yes, because I have been given a ministry in Bible College, but I didn't know what it was.
You mean at Moody?
At Moody while I was there. I think all what I do now started in Bible College, although I didn't know why I was there, but there were reasons for me to be there. I had to learn some things. And
remarkable story.
Yes.
She said her family thought she had lost her mind because she was very successful, very educated. She had her own 3-flat building, you know, vehicles, 401k, bank accounts, making good money. And she said the Lord kind of just took it away from her. And she said even during that time, she said she had a peace. When she was homeless, there was a peace inside of her, even as she was, you know, homeless.
No, this is Barbara. Could you explain to the audience that you went to school, Moody Bible?
Yes.
You became a missionary.
Yes.
Right. You became a
sort
missionary.
Of.
and you had all these assets.
Yes.
And what did you do with the assets? You sold them or gave them away, or?
I can't explain that.
Okay, but you went in and became homeless.
I became
Was
homeless.
it as your own choice or because
no.
No?
No. I had no choice in the matter. No choice in the matter. My will wasn't my own then.
I see.
Because my will was to become a doctor.
Oh.
You see, so my will wasn't my own.
Sure.
I had to do things, and when I had the peace about what was happening, And I went out, things were just provided, and place were provided, and people were provided for me. Yeah.
And now, at what point did you find your life was turning around and you stopped being in the homeless shelter?
Well, it was just in 1997. I had done a lot of work, even with those young men that just left here.
Oh.
Yes. And the Lord was ready. I think the fullness of God's time had come in my life, and everything just came together for me. I was in a shelter over on the west side, and they had come to me telling me that I needed to find a job. Yeah. But I knew I was doing my job. I was doing my job. So I said, Lord, what do I need to do? Yeah. And I was reminded that I went to jail for one night to see women shackled. And I had some scriptures about women being in pits and prisons with no one to say restore. And I said, oh, and I called prison ministry and asked if they have a place for me. And the lady wanted to take me, but she said, you know, you don't have a car. So I was referred to another place over in the west side, on the west side. And that's where I taught women who were in prison, in pits.
Sutter's ministry?
Not Sutter's. He's a Spanish. It's the New Life Ministries over there.
New Life for Women.
For women. That's where I was. And I taught there for about 7-8 months until I got an apartment, not through them, though the Lord just worked that too. And after I got in the apartment, I had to write tracts. So I started writing, and now I see that during my time I was writing these things, and they were in me and stuff. So I've gone back to San Francisco 3 times to deliver those tracts, and I've also...
By tracts, what do you mean by tracts?
It's like my experience that I've had, and the places I've been, and how the Lord, how the Lord had worked in my life over these 11 years. So
now, who was there a person responsible for helping you out of the shelter, homeless shelter?
Like I said,
or was it just the good Lord?
It was just the Lord, and I was sent to an agency, and that agency referred me to another agency, and I was out of there when it started within 6 weeks.
So, you know, of a person going into a homeless shelter, people that go into a homeless shelter have no money, no job, no place to stay. Yes. And yet I don't think...
The majority. I would say the majority.
Yeah. Majority. Yeah. And like myself, I have never been in a homeless shelter, so to go to a homeless shelter, I don't think no one ever imagined what it is to stay in a homeless shelter and what type of help they would get in a homeless shelter. And so, Jason, have you ever been in a homeless shelter?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes. I was homeless actually 1.5 years. The reason for the homelessness, I was working and living at the time with my father. There was a time or a transition going on in his life where he needed me to leave, and I had no place to go. So I stayed at the Pacific Garden that night. That's an experience I don't want to talk about much, but I was grateful that they were there at the time because I felt alone.
And that's right up here on State Street and...
Well, it was. It's now over...
State and Balboa. Now 14th and Canal.
Yeah, they're on the canal right now. From there, I was directed by Amanda Dice. She's a director, a social service director for it was actually the Center for Working Families on 39th and Cottage Grove at the time, but now they're with CARA. And she had a lot of connections with the different shelters and where I should go. So she invited me to the Rest Shelter on Lawrence and right off of Sheridan Avenue on the north side down the street from our church.
So, Pastor, homeless shelters, are there many around Chicago? Like your shelter is on the north side.
Correct.
And how many people can you handle in your shelter?
We have 50 women that sleep
50 women?
in our shelter.
So it's
every
predominantly
night.
for women.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's we're in partnership with the Rest Shelter. Rest means Residents for Effective Shelter Transition, and that's a secular organization apart from our church that we have a partnership with, and so we allow the women to come and to sleep in our building. They have showers there. They also get a hot meal, and they're there from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And each one is assigned a social worker to help them, and they must be willing to be working on one or more of their issues, whether it's drug addiction or anger management or getting a GED or job training or finding long-term housing or finding a job, what have you. And then apart from that, you have the Salvation Army Shelter for families, which is on Lawrence, and then you have the Rest Shelter for men, which is on Kenmore, I think at another church just north of our church. And I think those are the only three shelters I'm aware of on the north side. And then on the west side, there are a couple of shelters. And then, of course, you have the Pacific Garden Mission on the near south loop area here. And I'm sure there's a shelter, too, on the far south side.
Yeah, there's a few. Actually, I went for a meal one morning myself on, it wasn't Indiana, it was Michigan Avenue, somewhere around 34th or 43rd Street area.
No. How long were you in the shelter, Jason?
A year and a half.
A year and a half?
Yeah, at the Rest Shelter.
At the same shelter?
Yes, involved. Our church is involved with.
Which church? What shelter is that?
It's called the Rest Shelter.
Oh, Rest Shelter. Okay. And are you still in the shelter?
No.
And who helped you out of the shelter?
I would have to say the resources I was able to get, the fellowship I got after attending the church. I actually went to Pastor Allen. I said, I need a friend. He said, I said, I noticed that you're moving and I would like to help you. So we ended up becoming pretty good buddies after that and found a great relationship with him and the rest of the members at the church, and I've been there ever since.
So your church is Uptown Baptist Church?
Yes, it is.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you feel in that year and a half being in that homeless shelter?
I didn't have any feel. I was numb most of the
You were
time.
numb?
It was cold. It started in January, so it was most of the winter.
Yeah.
And I would really remember being the toughest part, sleeping outside, because there was a time frame you had to wait before you can get a bed in the shelter. So they did have a temporary overnight place where you can lay your head, but there was only limited beds there too. Okay. So I slept outside.
You slept outside?
Oh yeah.
You know, we're in 2009, and the way the economy is at, you have a lot of people out of work, and I think you're going to find more of it happening this year. And I think I don't know if that's what you're finding out now. A lot of family have problems. A lot of domestic violence coming along now.
Absolutely.
Can't pay their rent. Can't buy food for their family. And so we're going to see a lot more of this homeless going to happen.
Yeah, one of the things our church is doing to address that is that we have a class on finances. It's a Crown Financial Ministry class that really teaches the fundamentals of what the Scripture teaches about how to manage your money. We also have an angel food ministry which helps people to get food at a discount, even cheaper than Aldi, if you can believe it.
Oh my God.
And they can go online and order at a nearby church that we are affiliated with for this particular program.
What's that called? Angel Food. Angel Food.
Angel Food Ministries.
And then one can look on the internet?
Yeah, you go to angelfoodministries.com, I think, or it might be .org. And it's great food. They have the same vendors that Dominic's and Jewel have.
Oh.
And
but it's catered towards people that
are poor. and that just want a deal on good food.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that we do. We also help for our own members to pay the rent, or to pay the light bill, or to pay some bill that they are having trouble with. If they're members of our church, then we have a benevolent fund, and our deacons will attend to those needs and try to help our people.
Now, Jason, what are you doing now?
After I found my first apartment, I was working as a driver for Cook-to-Page Transportation. During that time, I had the opportunity to look into starting my own business. I've actually owned a real estate investment company for 2 years now.
Oh. Now, is that your background? Do you have a college degree in real estate or in business?
I have no college degree, just some, 2 years. I just have a love and a passion for it. The idea of helping. My ultimate goal is a foster care home.
Foster care home?
Yes, for young people to do school from kindergarten through high school before going off to college. That's my goal. Yeah.
And what are you doing, Barbara? No.
I'm writing. I've written tracts and.
You're writing? You're a writer now. That's excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
Do you have some of your writing now?
Yes.
That you could read to us?
I think it's over in the chair over there. Yes, but I do write tracts, and I am writing a couple of books.
Oh. Well, I'd like to read one of your books.
You will.
And these books that you're writing is about your experience?
Yes, and the work of the Lord and the church and in me. Yes, yes. And right now I have plans to go to Sudan. That's why I was so
Lost Wives of Sudan.
Yes.
They do need a lot of help there.
Yes.
So this is excellent, because homeless shelters, a lot of and the people in the homeless shelters, they're good people. They just need they're just down on their luck. Maybe they lost a job. And like you said, you were living with your father, and something happened there, and you had to find a place to stay. There, you were you wanted to do something, and you didn't know what to do.
Yes.
And thank God that we had a shelter to go to.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, a shelter is, and when people go to that shelter, you don't go in and just preach. You just go in there to try and help them. Right. That's the key. Right. The key is
the key, and it's a holistic approach. It's not just preaching, or it's not just giving handouts. It's really trying to help people with a hand up in life, and their spiritual life, as well as their physical life, their financial life, their relationships that they have with folks that sometimes are broken. So it's a holistic approach to helping people. I also serve on the board of Pacific Garden Mission here downtown. So I've been on their board for quite some time, and I tell you, it's a rough life to try to, or it's a hard job, I should say, to try to help those who are homeless. It's hard, but it's necessary. And I think, like you say, living in the 21st century in a civilized world, one would think there should be no need for a homeless shelter. Right. But the fact of the matter is there is.
Yes.
And so those of us who are able to help, I think ought to help in whatever way we can.
Well, because to help a person, or any person, that person that wants to help needs training in social work, probably. And what type of people do you need, or Res needs, to help the people that are staying in a homeless shelter?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Is it doctors?
I can answer it for you. I was there. I could say overall they do a great job. The staff that they recruit not only just starts with the ones that watch during the the day hours when everyone's it's like an open house where you can just come and have a place out the cold. But other than that, behind the scenes you have the counselors who make sure that if you're capable or in the mental capacity, because there's a lot of homeless people who may be medicated and don't have the mental capacity to work, that they can find activities or work for them.
Yes.
So what more can be done? there is so many people that are homeless, they don't have the staffing to give you the one-on-one. I think the one-on-one that I got when I chose the church I chose was what gave me hope and gave me the ground I needed to make or let the Lord make decisions for me in my life.
Yeah, there's so many needs in terms of the types of people. So one-on-one, like you said, we had a guy, just for example, who is part-time on our staff, and this is not in his job description, but he found a source of a bakery somewhere in the far western suburbs that gives, day-old baked goods that are not sold.
Okay.
So he makes a run every weekend, 20, 30 miles away in his own car, his own gas, he pays, picks up those baked goods, brings them to us, and we give them out on Monday night.
Monday night.
And I take some myself for my own family. That's how good they are.
Yes. Oh.
I mean, and they're not stale in terms that you have to throw them out. They're not moldy, but he does that. He saw the need, he saw the resource, and he was the conduit between the need and the resource. Something as simple as that in terms of. So those are people that we need. The Blue Man Group, for example, they'd use bananas in their show every day.
Yeah.
They give us their bananas every Monday. So we just go down and pick up from the Blue Man Group free bananas that are in good condition, edible.
Yes.
So it's things like that we need. People, like you said, to just come in and smile and greet people.
And shake their hand and conversation with them, companionship and care. So if anyone wants to come and help out the Uptown Baptist Church, you're up there on the north side, and you're willing to take anyone and everyone that wants to help and has a kind heart.
That's right.
Because I think that's one needs a good heart that wants to help people, just like you, Barbara.
Yes.
And bring children. Sometimes I bring my children, and some of the members of our church bring their children. And some of these people have not been in close proximity to children in a while. So I'll hold my little child up as they're coming in, and I'll make a joke. I say, listen, no one gets in this door unless Abigail smiles at you. And then I squeeze her little leg, and she smiles, and okay, you can go in and get your meal, and they smile back. Sometime maybe for the first time that day.
First time all week.
They say, and they pinch her cheek or touch her. Little things like that makes all the world the difference.
So you have it every Monday night at what time?
Between 4:30 and 6.
4:30 and 6. A nice meal at the Uptown Baptist Church, and it's every Monday of the year. Right? You haven't missed a Monday yet.
That's maybe 2 Mondays a year we're off. But 50 Mondays a year we're on.